Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you, wherever you guys are joining us from this evening. Some of y'all are on Twitter, some of y'all on YouTube, some of y'all on the Facebook, the blow up Meta. Some of y'all there, wherever you guys are joining us from, at home in Guyana or somewhere around the world. Welcome in the ring, guys. Let's fight. Let's fight. Good to see so many folks line up half hour before, waiting. We see people on YouTube waiting. The regulars like Candy Neline, Indigit, and Marky Mark. Chriselle, Clipper 68. We see you there. Denny's London Welshman in the ring, in the arena, in the Coliseum. Soon as the door open, soon as the first bell ring, Wilton Blue has shown up. Patricia Gravesandi is here as well. Patricia Gravesandi Goodman. Patricia got the thing, girl. Thank you. George Annan. Good to see you, George. Samuel Henry. All you fantastic, beautiful people. We trust you guys have had a great day. Kenneth Dennis, what about you? You've had a good day, my brother? Jacqueline Pastano. Jacqueline, I ain't hear from you in a little while. You know me no money, no. Must come wrong a little more often. Rochelle Johnson. Paulette Hicks. Good to see you. Marcel Ann Williams. Good to see you as well. Sherry DeRidder. Good to see you, Shirley. Eloise Amsterdam. Eloise is such an eloquent name. Dane, is it Dane? Dane, welcome. D-A-Y-N-E, Dane, welcome. Or is Daney? Dane, welcome. Petal Thorn. Every petal I ever known in my life was a Virago. Every petal I've ever known in my life was a Tantarian. Good to see you, Petal. Rishi Prasad. Rishi, how you doing, my brother? Good to see you, Rishi. Rishi's in the house. Y'all make Rishi feel welcome. Mavis Henry, good to see you, Mavis. Joylyn Cook, great to see you as well. Guys, you know, as you come into the ring, as you come into the Coliseum, you come into the arena, we always ask you guys to share the live stream. Y'all know what's up. Don't let me got to put some lashes on some of you. We bringing back the whip, you know. We coming back with the whip. Good to see so many of you, and thanks to all of you who joined us during lunch for Below the Belt, our podcast program. We were pleasantly joined by Amanza Walton, Desire, Darren Wade, and also the one and only, y'all know the man. I know the man. We all know the man. Senior counsel himself, Roysdale Ford, joined us. We had a full legal panel, and we were breaking down how these jagabats are persecuting their opponents via prosecution, via the courts. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that this evening. Good to see so many of you. Arville Blackett, good to see you. Dion, Ayana, Bibi Sandiford, welcome in the ring as well. Good to see you as well. Janet Edwards and Dawn Raven, I see you guys. Savitri Prasad, Savitri, I see you there, Savitri. Great to see you, Jermaine Osborne as well, and Colin Adams. Good to see you. I see Chocolate Chip. All kind of fancy name these guys got on social media. Chocolate Chip. Grace James is not a fancy name. Grace, simple and to the point. Ibon Lamy, good to see you. Good to see Daniel Prasad is in the house along with Rachel Glasgow, and Ariel is here as well. And Margaret, the whole family has showed up in the ring, guys. As you come on board, let us share the live stream. We are ready to get to it. You know, we came on a couple minutes early just so we can give some folks a shout out. And still keep our program time to what we know it is. Vanessa De Silva, good to see you as well. How you doing, Vanessa? Karen Black is here. Onika Light, they're here as well. Owen Love here as well. Folks, we are so thankful for all of you. You guys make this show what it is. Not us. And we want to thank those persons who have been putting their mouths putting their money where the mouth is. You're in the ring every night, chatting up big, but some folks have taken that extra step and have been partnering with us. And I want to thank those folks. You all make the difference, guys. You all make the difference. The other folks, don't be left out. There are opportunities for you guys to partner with us as well to help our program to keep going, to own a piece of this program. This program belongs to you, the ringsiders. And the trenches too. It belongs to all of you guys. You know, we always say all are welcome in the ring. Whether you belong to the PPP, you belong to the PNC, you belong to APN, you belong to AFC, wherever politically you call home, or you have no political party. You're straight, gay, lesbian, non-binary, all these fancy things, or none of that, right? You don't even know yourself yet. The ring is for you. We don't discriminate here, folks. Good to see each and every one of you, wherever you guys are joining us from this evening. Guys, and we have several platforms available for you. I like just take my hand sometimes. Several platforms available to you guys at Cash App. At the Cash App, it's a $ in the ring 592. That's our Cash App handle. Just today, a woman called me and said she's gonna download the Cash App just so that she can make a donation. Guys, we're so heartened by that. It's a $ in the ring 592. At PayPal, it's in the ring 592 at gmail.com. That's our PayPal email. It is in the ring 592 at gmail.com. We're also available, guys, at MMG. We want to thank those persons who use this local Cash App, the MMG. Our number there is 627-6963, 627-6963. And then we are also available via MoneyGram, via Western Union. We ain't do them nothing. We them all right, guys. So we good to go via Western Union and MoneyGram. Just today, somebody asked us about Zelle. We come in there. We come into Zelle. Slowly but surely, we come into Zelle for all the Zelle lovers. If you don't know what Zelle is, don't worry. Don't worry yourself. Don't worry yourself. Use one of the other platforms. Zelle is similar to the Cash App. For those of you who want to know, it's similar to the Cash App. But guys, we want to thank each and every one of you who've been putting your money where your mouth is. We've asked you guys for $5 per month. Partner with us for $5 per month, $10 per month, 15, 20. If you want to go bigger than that, be our guest. Surprise us. Blow us away this Christmas, guys. Blow us away this Christmas. That being said, great to see all of you in the ring. Gladstone Matthews and Stacey Stahl, Jermaine Osborne, Melinda Seeley. Is it Melinda Seeley? Melinda Moore, rather. My apologies. Edwin Warren and Nadia Bob Shonett. Barnes is here. Sandra Hanover is up in the Hazer. I see Maud Oliver is here as well. Good to see you, Maud. Jackie Bay, Joylyn Cook. Abina Alicock is here as well. Good to see you, Abina. Positive Thinker present. Good to see you, Positive Thinker. Margaret Nelson. How are you doing, Margaret? Great to see you there, Margaret. Great to see you, Margaret. Desiree Smart Felix. Back in the house. Roger Norris is here as well. I've already called about 5,000 names. Guys, good to see you. Good to see you guys in the ring. And I want us to get to the hot topics. Welcome in the ring. Wherever you guys are joining us from, whether you guys are joining us in Guyana, you guys are joining us in Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Suriname, Venezuela, Japan, Israel, wherever you guys are joining us from, North America, Brooklyn, the Bronx, you guys join us from Queens, you guys are joining us from Connecticut, you guys are joining us from wherever in the US, Texas, everything is bigger in Texas. Good to see each and every one of you. And you guys know by now, when you come into the ring, into the Coliseum, into the arena, we always ask you guys to share the live stream. And that is so that other persons too can come into contact with the content and know what these jacobats doing, what these trenchies doing, what these Nakavakamites doing, what these scamps doing, these vagabonds. We got to keep exposing them, folks. We are going to keep exposing them. Coming up tonight, coming up this evening, we're going to be joined by Mr. Khemraj Ramjattan, the Honorable Member of Parliament. Y'all know when Khemraj come. It's problems for the vagabonds. Y'all know when Khemraj show up. Say sit back, strap yourself in. Y'all know when Khemraj come, it's trouble. Right? You know, we say in the vernacular, we used to say in the vernacular, trouble in the dance, trouble tonight. Guys, share the live stream. We're thankful for all of you who will join us. Let's get to the fight card and see what has transpired over the last 24 hours in the oil-producing republic, in the region, and perhaps even internationally. Good to see each and every one of you. Fight card. Good to see you guys, and I'm eager. Let me get some space between me and this fight card. You know, we can get some problems with the folks who always put this thing too close to me. Here we are. Are we good here? Let me see it. Yeah, a little better there. And that's right. Good to see each and every one of you again. And let's get to the fight card. Let us start. Why don't we start with some breaking news? I think we have some breaking news this evening. Folks, our worst fears with Frank Anthony has come through. Our worst fear. When these guys took over COVID governance, that is a term that is used internationally. COVID governance, the management of COVID locally, they inherited 21 deaths from the APNU AFC coalition. 21 deaths, folks. And they had 474 confirmed cases. 407. I know it so well because I remember the very night when you had that unscrupulous, wicked declaration by Claudette Hussein. On that evening, I remember looking to see what the COVID numbers were that very night. 21 deaths, 474 confirmed cases. Today, folks, unfortunately, worst fears are coming true. Where the COVID deaths are concerned, we have now reached 1,000 COVID deaths locally. 1,000 COVID is 1,000 too many. You know, when these guys were in opposition, they had their own COVID task force. They were invited to be part of the government's task force. They never turn up. That's how they're wicked, stink and dirty. They never turn up. They're their own task force. They say when they come in, oh, we mismanaged COVID. The things they were going to do different. Well, look at the difference. 1,000 COVID deaths 15 months later and 35 plus thousand confirmed cases. You know, the trenches won't want to hear this. The trenches would not want to hear this. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those persons who would have lost family members via COVID-19. You know, just today, we are reflecting on the life of Imran Khan, Mondale Smith, you know, all those persons notable, you know, and otherwise who we've lost. Citizens across this country from various walks of life, across the political spectrum, across the social divide, we've lost to COVID-19. And today, unfortunately, we have crossed this very grim milestone of over 1,000 COVID deaths locally. Just last week, Frank talking about turning the corner where COVID-19 is concerned. And every day is more and more confirmed cases. They just made known to the public that we have the Delta variant. Right? And they haven't told us yet that the Omicron variant is right in Brazil, right on our borders, folks. Heaven help us. Heaven help us with these folks. 1,000 COVID deaths. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to all the families who have lost someone to COVID-19. I'm certain by now every guy knows somebody personally who have met their demise through this very dreaded virus. And so we continue to stay here in the ring, continue to social distance, continue to sanitize, continue to wear your mask, practice all the COVID-19 protocols that are in place for your health and your safety, that of your friends, family, and loved one. We saw some folks recently in an activity out of the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture, no masks, no social distancing. We saw the installed catfish president just today meeting with the British High Commissioner, no social distancing, no mask. Y'all think y'all could go to Britain, to England, to the United Kingdom and operate like that? You preach one thing, but you do something totally different, diametrically different. That's how we got to 1,000 COVID deaths. Again, folks, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those persons who we have lost. We remember them tonight and remember their families in our prayers. On the COVID note, look what's happening in the region. Look what is happening in the region. Listen to me. In and of myself, every time I see something happening to Ralph Gonzalez, I feel a sense of relief and pleasure. The only thing here is that people's lives are at stake on this very issue. Well, you all know the COVAX facility. The COVAX facility is where this group of countries come together and they pool COVID-19 vaccines to distribute to, let's say, less fortunate nations. Now, some of these COVAX vaccines were given to Ralph Gonzalez there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, given to him freely. Right? Of course, they cost somebody something. And there are specific rules that are spelled out as to how these vaccines that come through the COVAX facility must be treated with. Good. He took it upon himself to say the vaccines they are nearing the expiration date, and he gonna give them to Trinidad. But the people at COVAX, based on the rules and the guidelines and so on, weren't having it. Were not having it. And they were very, very, very strong on Ralph Gonsalves recently, saying to him that he had a responsibility to return the vaccines to COVAX, and COVAX would in turn decide what it wanted to do with the vaccines. He had no right to give Trinidad. So, folks, guess what? Ralph Gonsalves and St. Vincent and the Grenadines now have got to pay COVAX for those vaccines. They now have to, what they got freely, right? Because they were negligent and mismanaged it. They now have to pay $70,000 US for those vaccines that they took to give to Trinidad and Tobago. $70,000 US. You know, some good intentions sometimes got unintended consequences. Our good intentions can have unintended consequences. And this is the point in the program, guys. We want to encourage you to share the live stream. We want to see those emojis as well. Morna Monroe, Chisung Henry, Betsy Freeze, Michael Reed, Wendy Andrews, and Spurley. Good to see you there, Spurley. Janice Edmonds. Good to see each and every one of you who are joining the live stream. And we encourage you guys to share the live stream. Guys, I'm so sorry I can't lean back more in this chair. It's so comfortable, but I'm going to be too far back. Good to see each and every one of you. And as I said again, anytime I see a purgatory befalling this jagabat here, this scam, Ralph Gonsalves, I always feel a little pleasure. So pay the people the damn money, Ralph, and let's move on. Closer to home, folks. Closer to home. Look, what's on the fight card? Look what else is on the fight. Catfish on the menu. Catfish on the fight card. Well, the GRA, the Ghana Human Rights Association, the GHA rather, the Ghana Human Rights Association, they're not having it with Nandilal. Right? He's a member of the Catfish crew, the Catfish School. A member. The GRA ain't having it with him. Y'all remember recently the GRA spoke out on an issue concerning the police handling of the rape allegations that were made by one young lady, Tanika Calder. Right? The GRA spoke out very strongly about how the police managed that matter very badly, which resulted in that young lady taking her own life. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the program. Well, Nandilal came out asking when last the Ghana Human Rights Association had election, when last they were audited, where they getting money from, who are their members, and a whole bunch of nonsense. He even wanted to see the people's SOP. But the folks there at the Ghana Human Rights Association, they weren't mincing words with Nandilal recently. And I want to read almost verbatim what the report said. The Ghana Human Rights Association, in a release recently, responded to what it termed Minister Nandilal's most recent invective. I love the language. His most recent invective. According to the statement, the minister's tirade may have been triggered by the GRA's proposal that electoral problems in Guyana run deeper than the mayhem and turmoil associated with the 2020 elections. It added that the social media news service Newsroom reported that Nandilal had questioned the membership, financing, and political orientation of the GRA. That jagabat. And finally, in response, the GRA offered that the flimsiness of his allegation, wow, I love it. The flimsiness of your allegation, Alan Nandilal, did not merit a reply since there was sufficient information in the public domain to dispel the allegations. They go on to state, it is pointed out that the results of the GRA elections are issues of press release. The GRA's modest accounts are audited, and the GRA board comprises a majority of persons under 30 years of age, while adding that such vigilance has served the GRA well against malicious attacks, hear this, from disgruntled politicians and journalists. The GRA and Nandilal disgruntled. I agree with them. I agree with him. His invective, they characterize as being a disgruntled politician. I agree totally with the GRA. Totally with the GRA. Sorry, the GHA, the Ghana Human Rights Association. I agree with them. Now let's turn our attention to the GRA. I'm seeing it in my notes. Let's turn our attention to these other jagabats. Yep, disgruntled politician Nandalal. Let us turn our attention to the GRA. You all remember quite recently. I hope you all remember. If you all are paying attention on a daily basis, Clive Jackson and George Annan, Melissa April, and all you fantastic folks. We've been talking about this cocaine that was found in the Netherlands, 11 pounds of cocaine in a shipment of rum. So the rum is gets you so high, and then the cocaine is take you to the stratosphere. Cocaine in rum, cocaine in dog, cocaine in granny, cocaine in baby, cocaine in board, cocaine in curry, cocaine like snow in this country. So the GRA, the Ghana Revenue Authority folks, they have come out to say that when that shipment of rum left this country, the report is saying all the protocols were followed and no substance, no narcotic substance was discovered. So they're telling us that the cocaine originated elsewhere in this rum. Somebody put it in the rum. Folks, let me tell y'all something. If I got to believe between the Netherlands and these scamps and these jagabats, Volme and Laverne and Bass and Jennifer Smith and Gwenna Jones, if I got to choose between the Netherlands, who I never see, where I never went, and these jagabats, the PPP, who I know, you know them, I know them, we all know them. Y'all know who I can believe? The Netherlands. So I am concerned what GRA, right, and Kanu saying on this matter. The people said they found cocaine and we rum, and the shipment come from here. Asani Bowman, that is what the people are saying. Cheryl Mulrain, that is what the folks are saying, and I believe them. I believe the Netherlands. Folks, the Ghanaians are coming. They're coming. They are coming. You all know they had an initial state visit under the APNU AFC administration, and then this administration always following on our projects, always hot on the heels of the coalition projects. Now the Ghanaians are coming. Their vice president is coming over the weekend, and according to what we're seeing in some reports, the two countries are set to deepen relations on the political and economic front. So we're waiting to see how that roll out. Coming soon, the vice president of Ghana is going to be here, and the statement also says that this visit is going to allow for the exploration of opportunities between the private sector in Ghana and Guyana's private sector. Of course, all of that is nice, fluffy language. We're waiting to see what the reality of the exchange is going to bear in the near and long term. That is what we're waiting on. All this fluffy language. Political deepening relations on the political and economic front and exploring opportunities between the private sectors. All this fluffy language. Right? We're waiting to see the reality, folks. Nonetheless, we welcome the entire team. We welcome the Ghanaians, and we are going to extend to them all of our hospitality. We're certain. You know what's going to be on the menu? You know what is going to be on the menu, folks. Huh? On the menu, muscat. Catfish. Catfish going to be high on the menu. I ain't want none of that. It is going to feature very, very high on the menu there. We need in that. Folks, y'all know them, I know them, we all know them. The PPP, the wicked. What comes next? Yeah? The wicked, stink, and dirty. Wicked, stink, and dirty. There is no other words to describe them. You all know these jagabats are about to downsize GPL staff. Yeah? They should be giving us more power. Well, I guess we're going to expect more blackouts in 2022. We were made to understand that there was a meeting held in Region 5, and 6 with some GPL contractors. And they were told in no certain terms that come 2022, they're going home. Once their contracts expire, they will not be taken back into the company's employ. But we know for a fact that this is going to set the stage for the PPP to bring in their own private contractors and their own private people working under them. That's the setup here. That is the setup. That is the political playbook that is happening. So you send home the staff, and then you bring in 1 and 2 private contractors who will now go and employ PPP people. The wicked, the stink, and the dirty. We cannot characterize them in any other way. Wicked, stink, and dirty. As a matter of fact, just today, a young lady gave me a word to characterize them. She said this word is Creole. I'm trying to find it. She said it's a Creole word. Let me see if I get it here quickly. That conveys the same sentiment. The wicked, stink, and dirty. She said the word is sakwe salop. Sakwe salop, she said. It's a Creole word, means the same thing. The wicked, the stink and dirty. They're no good. They're dirty. They're good for nothing. Sakwe salop. PPP. That's who they be. Sakwe salop. Improving my Creolese. Karen Smith, Sakwe salop. That's the PPP. Valmer Wilson, Sakwe salop. That's the PPP. Chanela, Smith Daniel, Sakwe salop. That's who the people. Gwenna Jones, Sakwe salop. That's the PPP. The wicked. They are wicked, distinct, and dirty. Full stop. Full stop. Moving on, folks. Another example. You could imagine. Veteran trade unionist Lincoln Lewis went to a ceremony to represent his union, right? To represent a union that he is part of. This is the Guyana Trades Union Congress, of which he's the general secretary. They were dedicating the Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow, that icon in trade unionism in Guyana, rededicating his monument in Parliament, in the what do you call it? Not Parliament's compound, the National Assembly compound, in Parliament buildings compound. That was the phrase I was looking for. Rededicating that statue there, that iconic figure of Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow, right? And the union president of the Guyana Trades Union Congress, Coretta MacDonald, she assigned the trade unionist Lincoln Lewis in her stead to deliver remarks. Parliament wasn't having it. Parliament said only the president of the union can make a statement. Could you imagine that? That is how these guys are wicked, stink, dirty, and petty. Right? Wicked, stink, dirty, and petty. That is how they stay. That is how they stay. So they denied Lincoln Lewis making comments on a trade unionism issue, on a trade union issue, just dedicating a statue to the movement, to the trade union movement. And you got to bring politics in that. Right? But that is how these people stay. And we hope more and more you guys are seeing. We hope more and more Chisung, Henry, Clive Jackson, Estrada Grant, George Annan, Aubrey Alexander, we hope that you guys are seeing more and more how they stay. Moving on in the fight card. We got to get to our guest, folks, so we got to move on. You know, just the other day we were saying that there are some Guyanese who are keeping the nation's flag flying high around the world, and we salute them. They go to work every day in the diaspora and they work hard with integrity. They got character, and they keep the flag flying high. Not they set here in Barbados, who quite recently were arrested in Barbadian waters, a boat with a lot of marijuana in it. Oh, they're bringing us a lot of shame. This set here, these jagabats. But if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. We were made to understand that teams of the Coast Guard, police, drug squad, and other agencies swooped down on the vessel, and several Guyanese were nabbed with this boat with a lot of marijuana in it. And we are being told that the Barbadian police force has taken over the case for investigation and any possible prosecution. And we picked up this information out of Dem Waves, Tennis Chibral and Company. You know, folks in the diaspora, help us out. Stay on the straight and narrow. Stay on the straight and narrow. When they don't do all the mischief, and they go to jail, is here they're dumping them. Here they're dumping them. It seems like everybody have worked just someplace else. All we got to do is a set of jagabas and scamps in this place. So folks here in the diaspora, conduct yourself properly. I'm begging y'all. Conduct yourself properly. Conduct yourself properly. And a bit of good news. A bit of good news. You know, we love a bit of good news every now and again. We were happy to see, you know, the opening of what they call the domestic violence interview and virtual hearing room in several courts in the country. We were tremendously pleased to see this. Several of these. New Amsterdam had one. We saw Blairmont had one. Weldat, Springlands had one. Wim and Reliance Magistrate Court had one of these domestic violence interview and virtual hearing rooms. When you deal with these sensitive areas, these sensitive issues, you can't have the people, you know, out in the open. They are sensitive matters. And so we love that the court has taken on this initiative. And so kudos to Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire and her team. You know, Roxanne has been doing a couple things well. You know, delivering some stunning judgments. We don't always agree with them, but advancing, you know, and building the legal system in this country in terms of the jurisprudence and physically, structurally. And so kudos again to Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire and her team, opening up a number of domestic violence interview and virtual hearing rooms across the country. The sad part of this, or the other side of justice in this country, is this next story. We promised you all it last evening as the final thing we were going to discuss for the night. But our time with work, for instance, went right to 9 o'clock. And we don't have no trouble with that. But we wanted to share this story with you. And guys, this is the Tanika Calder story, who I referred to early on in the program. This is the stories you don't see feature on the PPP Facebook page. This is the story you don't see featured too much in Guyana Chronicle and on DPI and NCN. This is the kind of stories. The Tanika Calder story is a sad story, and heads must roll. And I'm going to ask Khemraj about this story. Khemraj, who's already in the green room. And folks, I don't even want to distort too much from what I read. And I'm taking all of this. I want to give credit to Stabrook News, who is doing some good work on this front. In an editorial quite recently, themed Dastardly and Deliberate, they refer to this Tanika Calder story. Now, Tanika Calder is a young woman who allegedly was raped, an alleged rape by a taxi driver, reported this matter to a police station. And what happened after that boggles the mind. Really and truly boggles the mind when you think of it. Folks, I want to read a couple paragraphs quickly from this editorial to give you a sense of what transpired. And if this doesn't make you angry at the degeneration of the Guyana Police Force, nothing else will. And so while Roxanne George Wiltshire, the Chief Justice, and others are working hard on the judicial front, oh my God, it's purgatory in the Guyana Police Force. Listen to what this editorial out of Stabrook News narrates. Recent allegations leveled against members of the Guyana Police Force point to a level of mental and emotional cruelty that is unfathomable in an organization with the motto service and protection, even in these disturbing times. Even in these disturbing times. This newspaper reported, Stabrook News that is, on Sunday last, that the family of 18-year-old suicide victim Tanika Calder believe that actions by officers following a rape complaint she made at the Cove and John police station, had driven her to take her own life. Before the article was published, the journalist writing it contacted the commander of Region 4C, Kali Parashram, under whose jurisdiction the Coventry police station falls, and asked whether the officers in question were being investigated. Listen to this. Mr. Parashram chose to speak only of the rape allegations, stating that legal advice had been sought. It is always legal advice they're waiting on. Legal advice had been sought, and there would be no prosecution of the perpetrator. There will be no prosecution of the perpetrator because the complainant had died. It gets worse, people. He claimed that Mrs. Calder's family's complaint was primarily about Facebook posts, citing that these were both in commiseration with the unsympathetic towards the family. Nevertheless, as soon as the article was published, the Ghana Police Force responded that its Office of Professional Responsibility, the OPR, had launched an investigation. So from not prosecuting, suddenly because the thing now public, y'all launch an investigation with particular focus, people, listen to this, with particular focus on the conduct and actions of the ranks who received the report and conducted the ensuing investigation. It seems Mr. Parashram, according to Starbuck News, was unaware, or perhaps the investigation was launched only after Starbuck News published the article. Allow me 2 more paragraphs, folks. It gets dastardly worse. Although Miss Calder's sister, the editorial reads, although the older sister's complaints are being viewed by police as allegations at this point, some of what she only mentions in passing is cause for serious concern. For instance, here what the editorial says: when the family first sought to have Miss Calder's report that she had been raped, they had gone to the vigilance station, but officers there sent them to Coven John, indicating such matters needed to be handled there. Why is it in 2021, the newspaper asks, that officers at the vigilance station can take a rape report? Why is it in 2021 the officers at vigilance police station can take a rape report? Or is it the case that they did not want to take it? That's what the newspaper is asking. Hopefully, that part too will be part of the Office of Professional Responsibilities investigation. Finally, hear how this thing gets worse. I only read 4 parts of this editorial. Dixie Jordan, the sister of Calder, related to Starbuck News that the officer taking the report at Coven John, y'all hear story now. The officer taking the report at Coven John allegedly asked the complainant to do a medical. He asked the girl to do a medical, right? Terms used by the sister. He asked her to do a medical the following day. Not the same day, the following day. This boggles the mind, Starbuck News said, since even rookie officers should be aware that sexual assault forensic exams must be done as early as possible. Yep, as early as possible after the alleged assault. During these exams, medical personnel typically use rape kits, usually supplied by the police, according to Starbuck News, to collect critical forensic evidence that can help in identifying a sexual assailant. And finally, folks, the evidence collected includes bodily fluids, hair, and fibers from clothing. In addition, blood and urine tests are performed to screen for sexually transmitted diseases and infections and pregnancy. And in some instances, samples of the cervical tissue may also be taken and sent to a laboratory for further analysis. If done the next day, particularly after a victim had a shower, critical evidence could be lost forever. And the article and the editorial goes on about the treatment of this young woman, how she had to relate to officers in their questioning, right? Which was more of an interrogation. How she had to relate to officers about her sex life between her and her boyfriend, who is not the alleged assailant. Who is not the alleged assailant, folks. Right, let's take a closer look at this young lady's face and to see what these jagabats here, the person these jagabats have caused to lose her life. Right? She had to narrate her sex life to the officers there at Cove and John. More than that, they doubted her. According to the story, according to the editorial, they doubted her and told her she was lying, right? And that if she took the matter to court, she would be charged for lying. Folks, folks, y'all think it easy? I want to head to the main event tonight because Khemraj Ramjattan was the Minister of Public Security. So I want to head to the fight card, to the main event, folks, rather. Right? I want to head to the main event. This here talks about how folks' voices have been silenced. Right? Lots of voices that should be speaking out against this matter have gone quiet. Lots of voices. They have gone quiet on these issues. Let's welcome Khemraj this evening for the main event as we discuss this and other issues. Khemraj, a very good evening and welcome.
Sherrod, to be here again with you. And, now that you have brought out the Tanika story, it is a shame and a disgrace and another vulgarity, an abomination, really, on the part of a police force that we had, with every effort made to raise their professionalism. And to have seen the report, I couldn't believe it, quite frankly. That is why I told you just now that with a little note that I hope that there is tremendous accuracy with that story. But knowing Starbuck News and the quality of that newspaper, we can bank on them. And since we did not get any response from the police force, and the fact that the professional responsibility unit now is going to get into action, it does seem that there is every truth and every iota of truth inheres in that story. But it goes to show what has happened to that police force. I mean, as something like that, immediately the minister should ensure from the commissioner of police the sacking of a couple of policemen there. The commissioner can do that under certain section 35 of the Police Act. But when you can get a number of these policemen whose behavior is so against the grain of police philosophy, and especially in the context of women, and the fact that you want to ensure the security of that vulnerable group. So many people have been talking about sexual offenses and the damage that it brings psychologically. Here it is, the police force doubling the psychological damage to this girl with all them stupid interrogative questions they ask of her. I mean, I really don't understand what is going on there. And we're going to talk about some other issues.
Definitely, Khemraj. Khemraj, one of the things here that is so sad, do you know, according to the editorial out of Starbuck News, that this young lady had to give a statement in front of her alleged assailant, right? She alleged rape, and the Cove and John police force, according to Starbuck News reporting, that Tanika Calder had to give a statement in front of her alleged assailant, and he had an opportunity to rebut her.
Yeah.
And the police said she was lying. So they took the side of the assailant. As Starbuck News said, it is mind-boggling.
I want to say that this is not a first occurrence. As a matter of fact, I know of certain Hindu priests and all doing this nonsense and a girl committing suicide. And there are other people who regard themselves as religious leaders doing this nonsense, and suicide being the consequence, suicide of the victim. And look, I want to say that we tried, you remember, in that 5-year period to come out with this big message: silence is violence. So please come out and talk, because let me tell you something, there's a lot of wickedness going on there with male taking advantage of the females. And sometimes they just remain silent. And that silence, as I used to say, is violence. Silence is violence. And now when you get a girl coming out with these things, you got to make sure that there is no justice and not behave in the way that the police behave. This thing requires a major commission of inquiry, because ever so often you require a commission of inquiry so that you can make the recommendations, catch the culprits, of course, but also make the necessary recommendations so that you can inform the policemen what true professionalism is. It will be published, and the whole thing now brings to bear on the policemen of the day, all couple thousands of them, that look, this is how we cannot behave, this is how we have to behave. And I believe that Mr. Ben should call for that kind of inquiry into what happened here, because our women are being battered. And even now, when they go to that institution to ensure that there is justice, now you get suicide. And now the entire family. And I mean, this police force, I can't understand. They gone to Orange Boston House, kill up the man. Is Orange
Yes. Or in Boston, in Essequibo. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and
With
prior
the
to
SWAT
that,
team.
another Orange, they damage up a whole house and ransack it. They gone and they're doing a whole lot of nonsense all over the place. And there seems to be absolutely no accountability. And I don't like to, be critical of something that you just came out of, in the sense of saying that, look, these fellas had so much training and so on. All of that. And you carry them, a number of them who never could have gone overseas. But what I notice now is a lot of them, because of the political interference into the police force, it has now created a total unprofessionalism. And that is why you're going to have these incidents. I mean, it will happen, but you're going to have them with the regularity that they're happening. That makes them happen as they are now. And so,
Talk to us a bit about the politics. You hinted at it early on. Here is the Guyana Human Rights Association coming out and rightfully chastising the police for the bad handling of this. Starbuck News again called it mind-boggling, terrible managing of this rape allegation here. Terribly gone wrong. And then you got Anil Nandilal, who comes out, and instead of perhaps lending his own voice against this foolishness of the police force, he's questioning the Guyana Human Rights Association. When last year had an election, while y'all didn't talk up against the prolonged or protracted recount process, who funding y'all? Make sense of this politics, because it doesn't make sense to me.
It is the coarseness and the callousness of that leadership that is causing this kind of approach and trajectory to be taken. The inhumanity almost of the PPP's leadership. And an attorney general who cannot compartmentalize a development like this and want to politicize it by virtue of telling these people that are making genuine grievance claims against the police force that you had to do something otherwise, is absolutely trash. But as I have said, that attorney general seems to like to hear himself speak, and it was totally illogical when he came out and denounced on certain other issues. Not that you can't denounce certain critics on other issues, but on an issue that is as fundamentally like this one here, and so wrong in the sense of the police being so unprofessional, and to now go and try to support the police by attacking the messenger of that message on another issue. This is the distraction and the diversion of the gaze PPP leaders want from these non-governmental organizations and the press. They want that kind of taking your gaze away. And so that they're now going to question. Why? They probably could have questioned GHRA. Starbuck News had done their job, so he didn't send nothing but Starbuck News. But did he address the Starbuck News editorial? No, he did not.
No.
But he feels, and this is where you become rather like this kind of criticism will lose validity, because after a while people will say, what's wrong with that attorney general? What kind of argumentation is that? So people could rape children or girls and so on, and they can't go and make anything because your attorney general will come and say, well, some
Yeah.
other issue that is totally
Back up
irrelevant,
the
a
police, because now
consideration.
the police are judge, jury, and executioner. They are now challenging the young woman that the claim she's making is a lie, is a false
Yeah.
claim, and the whole system has gone awry in just 15, 16 short months. And on the same front, Kemraj, we saw what transpired recently with the former finance minister in what we're calling here the weaponization of the courts, weaponizing the courts, right? Persecuting their political foes via prosecution, via the courts. It is sickening, and we saw a very very strong statement coming out from the Alliance for Change. I just want to read a portion of it very very quickly, of which it says that at all times, this statement coming out from the Alliance for Change, of which you are the leader of the party, Khemraj, at all times, Minister Jordan acted within the strict parameters of the Constitution and the Financial Management and Accountability Act. No decision was personal or without cabinet approval. To charge or prosecute a former minister for taking actions pursuant to decisions of cabinet is vulgar, abusive, and unlawful and unconstitutional. And as the PPP recognized when it withdrew false charges against Dr. George Norton, an individual should not be singled out and persecuted while acting rather on behalf of the collective or the constitutional body known as the cabinet. Your thoughts, Kemraj, on this whole sad saga of Winston
Look,
Jordan?
look, the thing is vulgar. The thing is abominable, as I said. And only a couple of weeks ago or months ago, the Attorney General had brought a civil claim. And in that civil claim, Mr. Winston Jordan filed a defense which is that he got cabinet, and as a minister, you go in cabinet, you go to the president because he asked your advice on these matters. And remember that this matter with Brian Tiwari was there since 2012, and then it ended up in the court, and the court was literally telling our attorney general what might be the outcome, that there might be need for a settlement in this matter. And he brought it to cabinet. I remember, because I was asked to even give an opinion. And we all agreed that if it is better off to settle the matter, go right ahead. And that is what the president would have instructed his minister. Remember, as ministers, we are advisors to the president on portfolio matters. And that is what you do as a good minister in good governance arrangements. You then go and you make your claim and you state that this is the position, and then so on. And then you hear from your other cabinet ministers, and this is how it's done. And if the man then went and did exactly what it was that he did, how could you regard that as criminal? And you know what? I want to say that the PPP now is going around indicating this, that
Tell
do
us.
for do is good, do for do. That, look, but I want to say that when we were in the administration, we conducted forensic audits in relation to all the departments. We knew that there were probably or suspicion of what is called allegations of wrongdoing and all of that. Because remember, the newspapers, we in the opposition, were making allegations and they were not being answered. So we did what we knew is the modern practice. When you go into government after a 23-year period in opposition, you do a stock taking. It's like you take over the business from as a new owner now, and you stock taking. And we did what is called forensic audits. We got Christopher Ram, Anand Gulsuran, the Court Nibai, and all them qualified, top-notch auditors and accountants. And they made reports, and in those reports, some recommended further police action. What do you do is that you then send file for police action. And in the score there, some of them were charged. That is a due process. By the way, I had indicated that it must pass through the DPP's chamber because the DPP's chamber is the gatekeeper. We, under the Independence Constitution, created that office depoliticize the criminalization of activities on the part of politicians or everybody. Because you could get an attorney general, it used to be in old England, who was very political, and probably that is what is happening today. And then you could have gotten them directing how to charge this person and charge that person. But you created out of that a process that we learned as a precedent in England, the Crown Office or the DPP's chambers, and we then brought that into our constitution. So
Well, they got their own problems now.
Yes. And look, that is what we did. The DPP then would have advised on all the charges. So I want that distinction to be made. I mean, I had my personal view on some of these matters, but whatever it is, if the cabinet said, well, that is the process should be gone on, that is what it should be. But what we got here, buddy, let me tell you something. This is ranked political interference. I want to know who is the person that made the report against Winston Jordan. Could the police tell me that? Who is the person? At least the forensic audits were there, and if police more action to be taken, you could then carry that to the police. But who made the allegation? I'm certain that it is one of the politicos. We got to make him go down on his knees, and that is why at the very beginning of the PPP's installation here, I had indicated that they're going to demonize black people, and that is what they're doing. They want to bring them to their knees and humiliate and also intimidate and bring fear. But the PPP don't understand that when there is resentment that is of a high order, that you're going to have violence in this society. And it's a lot of their supporters that own big property that might be the targets. That is something I tried my best within that 5-month period during the recount to ensure that does not happen in this country as public security minister. And I know where the flames are, quite frankly, because the commissioner of police had to report to you. So they don't understand what they're playing here with. And they damn well know that it is not any criminal offense if a minister were to do exactly as he did on a cabinet decision. They just want to, because the man has been coming out recently and hammering them, especially in the 7%.
Correct.
And talking about how they done borrow $200 billion. And all money will be neutralized because we're going to have a payback for that because of their deficit financing.
And about the meager and measly 7%.
Exactly, the 7%. But yes, that's one of them. But he has also been critical of the running of the budget.
Correct.
Yes, but they now feel that what we're going to do is to crush him. Let him go and get arrested and so on. As to who make the allegation, it never passed through the DPP's chambers to tell the man that they're going to charge for all of that offense and so on. The police hardly know how to deal with misfeasance in public office. It is the DPP generally will tell you what the constituent ingredients are and advise and tell the police where to go. But they probably direct the policeman or the SOCU, go and do that. I understand they're directing them to get evidence against almost all of them, including me.
Wicked people.
I cannot believe this grim development, this concentration of power, especially in the hands of Jagdeo and a couple of them. That is not how you run this country. This country could explode big time because of the bad governance. And I am hoping that a lot of the people, like the same GHRA, Stabrook News, other papers, Kaichor and so on, they all come out. And the NGOs, and especially my East Indian comrades out there, they must know that when you start provoking nonsense like this, you are going to get a reaction. It has always happened. It is human nature. It is the evolution of mankind that you will have conflicts if you provoke them into it. And then when you become the sufferers, I hope that you will appreciate as to what might have been the cause. We need to move on. We need to allow, the democratic process, as it were, but human rights, fundamental freedoms, and as I have said earlier, the guardrails of democracy, which include the rule of law, the
Yeah.
interference with
Yeah.
police police commissions, and so many things. They are going to cause this whole country to be a failed state. And with all the oil money that we got, we could still be like what Venezuela turned into. Well, what really is Venezuela today? So it is important that the institutions that are there to ensure that we remain a democracy be allowed to be governed properly. The politicos must not go there. They must regard as self-imposition by these institutions as check and balance on their vengeful thinking. It's vengeance they want. They want to kick ass. And they want to show, especially the East Indian community and base support, that we are muscular. We can take care of them black people. And we
Khemraj,
can bring them to their
that brings me to my perhaps penultimate, if not final question. That what are they playing at here in their playbook? You understand the belly of the beast. What ultimately is their play here?
They want to
Longevity
provoke.
in office by stoking the fears, getting a reaction, and then you go crying to the international community?
Well, it's two things. They want to divert attention from the malgovernance of the country, their abhorrent governance, their bad governance. So what you do, now that this man has come out and made some very biting commentary on their governance recently, that is Jordan. So what you do to Jordan, you lock him up, and so you are doing what is called crushing dissent. Dissent of a very high quality, by the way, because Jordan's statements recently have been of tremendous quality. And what you're doing in the process too, a second reason, is that then you divert the attention of the public from how they're doing madness to now, look, at least we got back at Winston Jordan. So they're diverting attention from the public gaze, as I mentioned. But as I also said, they feel that they could appeal to the sentiment of their support base that we got this country under control. We are the bosses now, and we are muscular, and we got a police support. Well, you ain't got a police support. They must never ever feel so. You got a faction of the police force that can do trash, like what they do with Tanika there, like they do with R in Boston. And that is not the true police force that we know. And when the true police force start, it could very well be to their detriment. So it is those three reasons. They also want to provoke, and a fourth reason, a political reason, they want to provoke black people to go on the streets. I know how the PPP behave. And they're going to provoke the black people, and then they're going to tape them, video them. And then they're going to go Borbis and the Sequibo and the Amerindian areas where the votes there. And say, see how black people behave? Look how them abandon them coolie business. Look how them abandon them rape them gal. Look how them do this. Look how they kick up them black that other fella. This black man do it. And that is what is the disease, the cancer of this society. And if it's somebody catalyzing the cancer to grow back, is that PPP. That is what they want. I am pleading with my Afro-Guyanese brothers, don't allow them to provoke you. But as I have warned some elements in the PPP, I still talk to very many of them leaders, that they're going to get lone wolves. People who and say, I can't take this ras no more, and I got to go and do my own thing. And that has happened in history, in other nations, and even in this country. And these lone wolves can make an embarrassment to our civility, because it will then progressively get worse as one of them do stupidness and so on. And then the whole emotiveness takes over rationality, and then you get violence, and then the days of the 60s will come back. And then, of course, we would have had absolutely no innocent races. I think there are no guilty races. All races guilty. but we would have had a failed state. Everything burned down, this, that, and whatever. So I am urging even PPP supporters to tell them to behave themselves. Don't get too arrogant. That arrogant will not get you anywhere. It will
I
not
think,
get anybody anywhere.
Khemraj, I think, even establishments like Sabak News, who probably wanted to give them a fair chance, are seeing through, all of the facade, because Sabak News even recently said, the installed catfish president Irfan Ali, his words and actions don't match. You talk about unity and oneness, one Guyana. You talk about good governance and accountability, and you far from that. You far from
So
that.
true. So true. It's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. And he believed, that we don't have our degrees, that we could see through this. He probably feel that we are fools. Well, I am not a fool. And I see through the policies here. And it is but hypocrisy. They can go and say they want to talk and this and that, and we're going to rate this, but they're not doing it. As a matter of fact, little by little, they're just dismantling all these institutions, all of them. And in good time, they're taking our monies and they're doing it through reliefs to buy votes in constituencies that are their support bases, but which are now becoming dissentient. Remember, a lot of the sugar workers are vexed with how they're running the sugar industry.
Correct.
Remember, a lot of the rice farmers
16 months later, not one of them factory that promised to unopen yet.
Exactly. And a lot of the rice farmers are saying the prices for fertilizer. Zulfi catching his tail in relation to fishermen now.
Yep, and all they're going to say is that they're going to do studies and they're going to talk to their counterparts and so on. No real solutions.
And so, because of that, what is happening in the ground in relation to the PPP, they're going to want to divert attention. Oh, yeah. Look, we do a good thing the other day. We lock up Jordan. And this is what they're going to go and tell the supporters. We got them by the behind now. This is what. That is not how you run this country. A country that got a lot of polarization and political and racial and all kind of troubles. You're only going to enmesh it into more of these troubles. And that is why, I must say that we have to start more open discussion and debate with a lot of these other people who are PPP supporters to tell them that that's not the way. And then, the Constitution had said that, by the way, a big part of this has to do with the Jagdeo leadership of the PPP now.
Well, talk to us about that.
Well, let me tell you something.
Papa Jagabat.
Yes, that is right. If it is the Jays now inside of the party, it is not the Jaganites. It is the Jagdeoites who are all Jagabats. Remember, I had coined that term, Jagabat.
Yep.
It came from a sparrow. It came from a sparrow, calypso. But these fellas are now taking Jagdeo as the totalitarian commanding leader. It is wrong. He should have been on pasture grazing because of the fact that he served 2 terms plus a half term from Janet Jagan. He can't tell people 7% increase. You remember when he had increase and he said we can't give 7%. Remember? He can't give 7%.
Yep.
We had to go to Aubrey Armstrong report. Is Aubrey Armstrong? Some fella in his term as president or finance minister, we had to go and get a report and the man said you could give 13% increase or more than that. This fella is running that party like a dictator, as we said in the statement. Total dictator. And he feels that he's going to get away with it. But we are not going to allow him to get away with it. It is important that we now understand that this important, very important thing about dictatorship being brewed. You feel this is the point I want to make before I forget it. They feel that electoral democracy is what is democracy. That the space in between the elections doesn't matter because we win the election, so we could do what the hell we want to do. But it is the good governance during the space of elections that you got to prove your mettle.
That's where it comes.
That is what they're not doing here. when they dismantle almost everything, the constitutional agency, budgeting, the commissions and this and that and all kinds of things.
Nothing is working as it should. All of the structures, as you would say, that guards against or
Guardrails.
protects your democracy, the guardrails, they're
Yes.
breaking down all of them.
But what it does, it creates a culture in the society where violence and law breaking will become the norm. Again, I think it was President Granger mentioned it in a public interest show today, that organized international trafficking in guns, cocaine, and all of that happening big time now again, and it's true.
1,100 pounds of cocaine detected
Yes.
from this country in the Netherlands recently, and then
And the
by it didn't start here.
And the violence is not only going to be with those criminals, it is going to be with in-service sections like the police force. Public servants and all going to get mischievous too, because they're going to say, if this is what is happening, the rule of law and the norms of good democratic behavior not being there, they're going to want to indulge in all kinds of nonsense too.
Yep.
Yes, and that is what is happening. As is mentioned, other places too, as the experiences of other countries, it could then damage the entire thing. We then become a dictatorship. We are now at, as what I call an electoral autocracy. They feel that because they get a slim majority, they could do everything. And they got a right to pass legislation to do this and that and whatever. Well, no, we're not going to take that. And we're going to tell the public out there, at the appropriate times, we will have to come out in demonstrations too. This is not easy to be saying this because I didn't want that to happen. I know that there is COVID. I know that these things can have a handle in them in which they can then take on violent approaches. But quite frankly, you're being pushed because of this madness that the PPP is getting on with. And you're getting angry, you're getting furious. And you sometimes can't hold back your steam, and it could cause you now to do.
Oh, and then they can come and say that you're inciting racial violence.
Yes.
But let me tell when they work you up, you're inciting racial violence.
No, but these are very, very grim developments.
Very,
Sherrod, very grim developments, and I would want right-thinking PPP supporters and members out there to know, because especially the membership of the PPP is a politically conscious membership. They're conscious people. They should know that that is not the way to run this country. And they must so say, because we are all going to be consumed by whatever violence arises out of this kind of resentment and provocation. And so that is the little message I want to bring out here this afternoon, Sherrod. Unless you have any other questions and so on.
No, Khemraj, I'm grateful for the guidance you have given, and we always welcome your insight on this program. I'm certain the viewers as well across the world who watch our program value your insights because you have the political experience. You've lived it all. You've lived with these guys. You've often tell us that you've been in the belly of the beast, and you teach us by your very style how to govern differently. And that's why they don't like you. That's why they start to get rid of you, but you've only grown stronger.
Yes, and I hope that all of those who are now suffering these nasty developments, like Winston and all of them, they too will come out even better for it, in the sense of, but I must say that it stinks to high heavens how the people, and especially the Jagdeus type, because that man was his budget director. The man teach him plenty finance and economics.
Talk the things, Khemraj. Talk the things.
Heartless fella. Ingrate.
Khemraj, I want to thank you for being on the program this evening. Again,
thank you very much.
It is always an education having you, sir. It is always an education. Thank you so much, sir. Folks, the one and only Khemraj Ramjattan, the Honorable Member of Parliament, leader of the Alliance for Change, folks. Always a privilege having Khemraj, one of my mentors on this program, giving guidance on these very, very, very protracted issues, very, very nuanced issues. And we couldn't ask for a better leader, one of our national leaders in this country here, to help us navigate these complex issues, the complexities of our political system in this country. Folks like Khemraj Ramjattan. Guys, I want to thank all of you who have joined us. Continue to support this program so we can do more of this, guys. Share the live stream. We have thousands of you guys who are still on with us. Take the opportunity before you. I know, I got caught up in the discussion, listening and assimilating as well. But take the opportunity and share the live stream. We want it to be available to persons who might never have had a chance to watch it. And the more you share it, guys, the more it shows up in your news feed. The more it shows up in the places where your colleagues congregate on social media, and they'll have a chance to listen to it as well. Don't let's be stingy, guys. Share the live stream. We want to see those emojis as well, guys. And we want to invite you guys to keep partnering with us so that we can do more of this. We have several platforms available to you, whether it's the Cash App, it's PayPal, it's the MMG. We're available on Western Union. At Western Union, we're available via MoneyGram. Partner with us, guys. We can use your help to keep moving forward and to keep expanding, to keep doing more programs like this. Your help, folks, your financial help powers this program. Your financial help powers the Under the Belt program, Beneath the Belt program, folks. It powers what we're doing, bringing in information daily to the people. So come on board with us. Stay vigilant, stay focused, and help us to move this whole enterprise forward. Again, thanks to Khemraj Ramjattan for joining us this evening, guys. And again, if you do nothing else tonight, share the live stream so that other persons can benefit, so that other persons can become political conscious, more politically astute, more politically educated, how the Jagabats are thinking, what their actions represent, and how we move forward as a people. Thanks for joining us. I want to give a shout out to some folks before we go, as we usually do. People like Michelle Johnson, Tracy Mullen, and Clive Jackson. I see as well, we got Sandrine Beard, who is here. Candy is here as well. Pauline Chalmers is here. Clive is here too. Kim Walker is here. The PPP wicked, they stink and dirty. That's who they be. Juanita Day is here as well. Ovita Blackman is here. Horace Thomas, good to see you folks. Denise London Welshman is here. Tracy Mullen. Guys, great to see each and every one of you. If you are people at the program and you know you're not supposed to be people at it, do share the live stream and let's get this message out. Thousands of you still watching us. Thousands of you are still here, guys. Share the live stream. We had over 3,000 at our back end. We can see all of the figures we're pulling in via social media. Over 3,500 people. Over that, watching us this evening. Do share the live stream and let's continue what we're doing. Getting the information out there. Credible comments, valid viewers only. The trenches can stick around. That's your constitutional right. That is a democracy. We are going to exist in this country. Don't belong to the PPP. Thank God it doesn't belong to the stink, wicked, and dirty crew. Thank God for that, folks. But help us to do what we have been doing here. Come and partner with us. Your dollars are going to be well spent. We are so grateful to have each and every one of you. Clive Jackson again and Ovita Blackman. Naldo Grant, good to see you there. Gloria Pod, good to see you there. Amanda Daniels and Dawn Morgan, Clive Jackson, Orwin Don Cook. I see Denise Samuels. Denise, how are you doing? Thank you for all of your support. Folks put their money where their mouth is, and I hope some of you become more like them and help us to grow and to expand and do all the things we got to do. Folks, we got to challenge these people. Right? These people got NCN, they got they got DPI, they got Chronicle, they got Newsroom, they got a whole host of media. We got to do what we got to do, folks. And we are partnered by you. Unfortunately, they use the taxpayers' dollars to do all kinds of foolishness. We are powered by you, guys. And so come on board and partner with us, folks. Waveney Allison, Johnson Michelle, Carla, Washington, Kim Walker, Chisung, Henry, all you lovely folks, Celeste Clark. Good to see each and every one of you guys. The next time we see you again, it's gonna be Monday. We're getting closer to Christmas, guys. The next time we see you, Below the Belt is going to be on Monday as well, unless something drastic happens over the weekend. We're going to take some rest, recalibrate, refocus, and continue to gather the information, guys, that are so critical to you at home in Guyana and especially in the diaspora, guys. We love each and every one of you. Thank you for staying with us for an entire week. Thank you for having a fantastic week. 2 programs per week, so we've done 10 programs For this week, 10 programs down, folks. I'll be rolling out more programs because we know you guys need information morning, noon, and night. And we're going to be here giving it to you guys. Sheena Hazel and Amanda Daniels. Is it Tasha, I see? Ronair Carter, Sheena Hazel, Joylyn Cook, Yolanda, Daniel Prasad, Margaret Jones, Ariel. Good to see all of you guys. Great to have you in the ring. Trust you guys have a fantastic weekend. Continue to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, practice all the COVID-19 protocols that are in place for your health and your safety, that of your friends, family, and loved ones. Stay safe, guys. That's our program. Have a great weekend.